What's up, guys? This is Sam, and I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading. And today I'm going to be showing you how to find and trade Fed events. So this should be a pretty quick video, I imagine, because the trading aspect of it is really going to be up to you in terms of how you choose to approach it. There's not really going to be any defined way to trade a Fed event that is the same for each Fed event. Each Fed event is unique, and the main thing really is just knowing when they are, and then still following your technicals all the way through the event, making sure that you stick with the technical picture more so than things that are not in the chart yet. So I'm going to briefly show you how to find the Fed events, or at least the way that I do it, and also a little bit of extra on top. And then I will briefly cover the technical perspective of why you should still focus on the technicals, even going into large catalyst events like the Fed, because, well, we'll cover it when we get there. So let's go ahead and dive in. Now, I do this every weekend. I do this on Saturday or Sunday, and it is going here to forexfactory.com and going to the calendar. So the full link here is forexfactory.com/calendar. And you'll see here that this gives you pretty much the entire week's events, which I think is pretty helpful. Oftentimes, if there's going to be a Fed event, and there's a pretty big one actually coming up this week, coming up here in Wednesday, usually Fed events will have kind of a red flag here. Any high impact event will have a red flag, and usually the Fed comments or press release or decisions that they're making will have that as well. So we have a pretty big one coming up here on Wednesday. It's going to be the Fed decision on the taper. Now, a lot of that's already been baked in, and I guess we have to cover that a little bit. So let me go back first and kind of just show you what I do here on the calendar, and then I'm going to talk about what it means to be baked in, or at least my thought process behind the idea of something being baked in already, and then we'll round it out with the technicals. So again, go here to forexfactory.com. I always would suggest doing this over the weekend. Actually, what I do is I go here to Forex Factory, and then on my own notes, which I'm showing you now, these are actually my notes that I use, and then I share with the folks in the room as well. I write down my own calendar stuff, right? Now I pull out the stuff that I think is important, and obviously this week with Fed being on Wednesday, you have the FOMC statement, the Fed funds, and then the presser, right? Of course, we label that as important because it is important. So I actually do translate or copy over what's already on the Forex Factory calendar onto my own notes, just so that I always have it in front of me. I think it's helpful, at least. Helpful to me. But you don't necessarily have to do that. It's just important to understand when the Fed events are. So in this instance, we scroll down. We know that there's one on Wednesday, but let's say that we didn't. We would scroll down. We'd look for the red flags here. So you have, non-farm payrolls here on Wednesday. You have ISM, which are both high impact events. You have the crude oil, which is not as high impact. And then you get to the Super Bowl. You get to the big one, which is the FOMC statement and the press conference, right? And of course, all three of those are going to be high impact red flag events. So that's the first part, right? Just understanding when the Fed events are is really step number one. Now, here's the secondary part, because they asked me, hey, can you make a video on how to trade Fed events? And I can make a video on how to find Fed events, but there's not going to be any consistent way of telling you, hey, if there's a Fed event, buy it, or hey, if there's a Fed event, sell it, right? There's just that just doesn't exist. So what I like to do is try to understand going into the Fed event, so in this instance Wednesday, how much of this has already been priced in. And that's going to go back to the point that I was making originally around the concept of baked in. Baked in means that the market has already had time to digest the information and price it into the stock market, right? Is it going to be new information, or is it information that we already know? Now, with this particular Fed event coming up here on Wednesday, my guess is, right, and that's all we'll ever have, because this is there's no indicator for this, but my guess is that the taper that they're going to announce, or maybe give a little bit more clarification on, has already been priced in. So that's the concept behind being baked in to the price, right? And the way to think it through is just ask yourself, okay, I know there's a Fed event coming up. In this instance, it's on Wednesday and it's the taper, but it could be any Fed event, right? Just to kind of round it out and help with the entire concept of trading around the Fed. And then ask yourself, is what the Fed event is stated to do, does the market already know this information? Or could something new happen from it? And if the market already knows the information, like the Fed has been signaling that they're going to taper in November for probably 2 months now, the market's very aware of it. So it's very likely that this Fed event on Wednesday is kind of a non-event, right? But let's say it was something different and you had the potential that they would announce or do something that was not already known in the market for months. Then at that point, you really have to embrace the technicals, right? So I wish I could show you a quick chart here, but I don't have a quick way of kind of relating this, so I'm just going to relate it verbally. If you believe that regardless of whether you believe the price action going into a Fed event is already baked in and the market has already priced it in and it's going to be kind of a non-event, or whether you believe that there will be new information, going into these Fed events, I found that it's really, really imperative to just stick again with the technicals. Because if you start to guess and say, okay, well, Fed's going to announce on Wednesday, they're going to announce a taper, that's going to freak people out and they're going to sell. Well, does that really make sense? Because people have had 2 months to digest this information, number one. Number two, as we sit right now, the market is wildly bullish, right? So if we're focusing on the technicals and we're asking ourselves, is this information already baked in or not? In my estimation, this Fed meeting coming up on Wednesday, number one, it's already baked in, is my estimation. And number two, we're going into the event with wildly bullish technicals. So I would have no reason, personally, at least until I see something change in the charts, to expect wide volatility or anything real crazy happening, right? And of course, that's going to shape your trade. If you expected volatility and you expected kind of something chaotic to happen, well, obviously you want to take precaution and start to hedge yourself. You can hedge yourself using the SPY. You can hedge yourself by selling calls on stocks you already are in. You can hedge yourself by buying, out of the money puts on stocks that you want to protect, yet you still want to hold. There's a wide spectrum of things that you can do, but I think the number one thing for most Fed events is going to be, number one, obviously to know when they are, and that starts by going to the Forex Factory calendar. And then number two, asking yourself, is this already known information or is this potentially new information? And then number three, assessing the technicals and trading around those into and out of the event. All right, guys, I hope this was helpful. Stick around for the next series of videos. We think you'll like them, and I look forward to seeing you for the next video. Cheers. Hey guys, this is Sam, and I'm the Director of Equities at Simpler Trading. I want to thank you for watching this video, and before you go somewhere else on the YouTube, I'd like to ask that you comment and like the video. It really does help us out with the algorithm and getting the message out to more folks who like to see our content. Also, be sure to click the bell notification and subscribe to our channel so that you never miss anything that comes out. If you want to watch us trade in real time using our own money, come over to simplertrading.com and learn how to sign up. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you for the next video. Cheers.